So I opened this tutorials point page that basically takes you through the basics of computer programming. It's a very good page I ran into yesterday while trying to prepare for this. So we'll just try to go through it. I didn't create any slides, unfortunately, but we'll try to go through it. So first and foremost, a computer program is just, you need to think about a computer program as a set of instructions. You are just basically instructing your computer what to do. It's very similar to you instructing someone or giving someone instructions on how to bake a cake, right? So, for example, you'll say, buy this, buy that, buy milk, buy eggs, buy flour, and mix the dry ingredients together, mix the wet ingredients together, and when mixing the wet ingredients, if, say, for example, your milk is almond milk, pour 2 liters, and if it's not almond milk, pour 3 liters. It's basically exactly like that. And I'm going to talk about some of the keywords that you normally see around, and syntax that you see around a basic computer program. So in here we're using Java. So Java is one of the most, I think, if I'm not mistaken, it's one of the most popular programming languages right now. These are programming languages. Programming languages are very similar to human languages that we use. So, for example, I speak English, I speak Venda as well. So, it's very similar to that. There's, Java, there's C++, C, there's C#, there's Python. I'm sure some of you have heard about them. When we talk about basic syntax, right, and I'll come back to programming environment. When you talk about basic syntax, we are basically talking about basic syntax around that specific programming language. Coming back to a programming environment. The programming environment is basically how do you write your code, how do you run your code. And then with writing your code, right, I remember when I started programming, they made us use a simple text editor. So some of you may be familiar with Notepad. They made us use a basic text editor like Notepad. So when you write your code is basically Notepad, right? But then tools have evolved over the years. There is so many tools that you can use to write your code. Notepad is one of them. There's Notepad++, which is just much better than Notepad. That's Notepad++. There is also Eclipse, which is very popular, and NetBeans. The one I'm using here is IntelliJ by a company called JetBrains. And if anybody's curious about some of these names, I'll just type them down real quick. So these are basically IDEs or text editors. This is where you use to write your code. So I mentioned Notepad. I don't think anybody actually uses Notepad. Notepad++. Then there's Eclipse. There's also NetBeans. I hope I'm getting the spellings right. There's also IntelliJ. Cool. Anybody's curious? So some of these are open source, which means you don't have to pay for them. So those are open source, if I'm not mistaken, you actually have to pay for. There's also Visual Studio Code. I think it's open source, which means you don't have to pay for it. In case you have to pay for it, there's a community version, which means that you don't have to pay for the community version. So basically, this list is basically where to write code. Now, there's the how to run code, right? How do you run the code that you just wrote? So, sorry, questions? I hear someone unmuted their mic. No, I guess not. So someone asked me to share links. I will post this on the group. So this is the tutorials point link. And then some of these things you can just Google and find it. Just remember, your programming journey or your journey to learn how to program is like a soft journey, which means that most of the time you'll have to walk yourself through that journey, and it's a never-ending journey. I still learn new things every single day, and at the end of the day, that will be you if you wanna go become a programmer. So you need to learn and become very familiar with not knowing stuff and learning to go. So how to